The UNC Police Department works hard to keep our campus as safe as possible. Coming up, we give you an inside look at the most recent campus security and safety report, as well as some ways you can stay out of trouble.
Plus, members of the Greeley community take a walk in a refugee's shoes. Coming up, we show you just how difficult life can be for a refugee or immigrant.
This is Bear News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ashley Franco.
And I'm Tanner Schwint. Every year, UNC Police release a mandated campus security and fire safety report. The report gives statistics on the past 3 years. This year, the statistics read as follows for residence hall incidents. There have been 8 rape cases, 3 fondling, 7 dating violence, 22 drug violations, 52 alcohol violations, among others. Some of those are about the same as 2016, but are higher than 2015. Near the middle of the report, there are crime definitions as well as resource numbers, policies, and victim procedure tips. One of the things described in the report is the duty to report. Colorado law says if it is the duty of every corporation or person who has reasonable grounds to believe a crime has been committed to report promptly the suspected crime to law enforcement authorities. You can report those to UNC and Greeley Police both for non-emergency and emergencies on campus and off campus. But you might not know that UNC also has a number of crime prevention programs. To name a few, there's an escort program which provides police or security during nighttime hours and people wanting an aid. There's also a ride-along program which allows individuals to ride along with an officer to get exposure and insight into policing and law enforcement on campus. There are many ways to keep yourself and your peers safe. Remember your duty to report, and also remember that there are people who can help you. Also, if there's a direct threat on campus, push the button on the blue emergency poles located around campus.
We all know we'll have a new governor in Colorado come January, but a lot of other statewide races are also up for election, and some of them mean some more new faces around the state house. Dalton Lanik joins us live in the studio with a look.
We'll definitely have a new attorney general and a new state treasurer after the November election. Incumbent Republican Attorney General Cynthia Kaufman decided not to run for re-election, so that leaves an open seat. 3 candidates are running for that job. Democrat Phil Weiser taught law at the University of Colorado Law School and served as dean for 5 years. He also served in the Department of Justice in both the Clinton and Obama administrations. Republican George Braukler is currently the district attorney in the 18th Judicial District, which covers the southwestern part of the Denver metro area. He's a colonel in the Colorado National Guard and is the legal advisor for NORAD. The 3rd Attorney General candidate is Libertarian William Robinson III. He's a graduate of the University of Denver Law School and is a Denver attorney. Colorado will also have a new state treasurer because current treasurer Walker Stapleton is running for governor. Current District 50 Representative Dave Young is the Democratic nominee. He was a longtime Greeley school teacher before being appointed to the Colorado House in 2011. He can't run for re-election to the Colorado House because of term limits. Businessman Brian Watson won the Republican nomination as treasurer. He's a commercial real estate broker who founded Opportunity Coalition, which is a nonprofit dedicated to growing business through free market principles. Gerald Kilpatrick is in the race representing the American Constitution Party. He's a certified public accountant who has spent most of his career working with Xcel Energy. Taking a look at the Secretary of State's race, incumbent Republican Wayne Williams is running for a 2nd term. Prior to being elected Secretary of State, Williams served as El Paso County Clerk for 3 years. He served for 8 years as an El Paso County Commissioner. Lawyer Jenna Griswold is the Democratic Party nominee for the Secretary of State position. She worked for both Representative Diane DeGette and Barack Obama's campaigns in Colorado. Mostly, she served as Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper's Washington, D.C. liaison. Amanda Campbell is the American Constitution Party candidate. This is her 2nd run for Secretary of State. She also ran in 2014. And the final Secretary of State candidate is Approval Voting Party candidate Blake Huber. He ran for U.S. President with the Libertarian Frank Atwood before the pair created a party that advocates for approval voting, which allows voters to select multiple candidates instead of just voting for one. So there's lots of change in Colorado administrative offices this year. Next week, we'll take a look at legislative races of interest to Northern Colorado. Ashley?
Definitely a lot of decisions for Colorado voters next month. Thanks for your continuing coverage, Dalton. The Centennial Village in Greeley is a historical site where people can learn about how Greeley came to be. not Saturday. While the weather was perfect for a day outdoors, the mood was uneasy, not for lack of excitement, but for a lack of knowing what would come next. Volunteers dressed in black with spray-painted Nerf guns wait to use their props as members of the community roam the park. The attendees lived the lives that 68.5 million people live every year, the life of a refugee. The Immigrant and Refugee Center of Northern Colorado held their annual event, A Walk in Their Shoes. The group turned their attention to Burma. For the first time, this year's event showcased two true stories from Greeley community members. Sultan Ahmad and Mayant Hitu shared their stories of survival and torture with the Greeley community. With weapons replaced with toys and borders replaced with rope, the message remained the same, and the message was the entire reason they held the event.
We hold this event to simulate the gravity of the situation and to put names and faces to obscure concepts, such that individuals can say, well, I remember Mian's story, I remember Sultan's story, and I have facts to back up my conversation and my viewpoint.
After the event, attendees enjoyed refreshments bought from Mayant's store, the Golden Star, and attendees spoke one-on-one with the survivors. The Immigrant and Refugee Center plans to return next year to continue the group's goal of spreading the word about the global refugee issue.
Now let's get a first look at your weather forecast with meteorologist Abigail Stewart. Well, Abigail, we're finally starting to feel a cool down in the weather, and hopefully this fall weather will continue. How's it looking out there?
Well, it has been a quite chilly week this past week. Right now, only 63 degrees on campus, and we did see a thunderstorm roll through about an hour ago. Now, only a year ago is when we saw our first snowstorm of the season here on campus, and boy was it beautiful. And we're actually not that far away from seeing our first snowfall of the year here in Greeley. Right now, temperatures along the Front Range of around 70 degrees, temperatures in the mountains around 50, and on the plains we're sitting at around 60 degrees. That storm that brought rain and thunder to Greeley earlier actually brought a severe thunderstorm to our neighbors to the north near Cheyenne. Now, the stationary front that's sitting along the Front Range of Colorado is actually helping bring that kind of thunderstorm weather to the area. I'll talk about the evolution of this front and the weekend cool down, as well as the homecoming game forecast and the forecast for clouds, rain, and thunder coming up. Back to you, Tanner.
Thanks, Abigail. At one point or another, we've all dreamed of being up on stage, performing for a crowd. As Bear News reporter Dalton Lanik tells us, 15 people got to live out that dream for University Program Council.
You can hear the stand-up, turntablism, singing, and poetry from outside the University Center ballrooms, and you don't have to listen closely. What is ordinarily a small gathering in the Fireside Lounge became a full concert with 15 performers and seats packed with attendees. For homecoming week, the UPC rolled out the red carpet to UNC student performers and drew a crowd from Greek Life, the Housing Association, and various clubs. Sign-ups and sign-ins were tallied as part of the homecoming week competition. Refreshments were served and were the most popular among UNC's talented singers. Attendees got a taste of some impromptu stand-up, turntablism, and even a student breaking up with his parents.
Homecoming week ends on Saturday, October 6th with an inflatable dance party on the West Campus fields. But that's not all the fun. Everyone can participate in fun events like bingo, fireworks, and a 5K run.
If you've watched Bear News for a while, you'll recognize our next story. Every week, we try to go around campus to get student feedback in a segment we call Question of the Week. Bear News reporter Matt Jenkins is live in the studio to tell us what's on students' minds this week. Well, Matt, what did you find out?
Well, I was sitting at dinner with my mom Saturday night, and she asked me, "You're in your 4th year at UNC. Has it shaped out to be what you wanted?" Well, that got me thinking about the students on campus and how they feel about their college experience. So I went to the University Center to see what UNC students say. How has your college experience shaped up to what you wanted it to be?
It's honestly exceeded my expectations tremendously. School has gone as planned. I've joined a fraternity, which has been amazing. And I think overall, everything's just gone very smoothly.
It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be, but I think it's better than anything I could have imagined. I've made a lot more friends than I thought I was going to. I've been a part of a lot more than I thought I was going to. And I actually switched my major several times, which is great. So, yeah.
Honestly, so far, it's just been an amazing experience. I've learned so much about myself and about other people, and it's just been an amazing experience to meet so many people in a different atmosphere than I've been used to back home.
I joined an organization that was bigger than myself, and I got to meet a lot of great people. And it's hard as a freshman to kind of put yourself out there, but through all the clubs and organizations I've joined, it's been really great.
My college experience has been awesome. It's definitely been very difficult, but I made lots of friends, learning a lot of stuff, and hopefully I graduate next spring. So I think it's been more than what I expected.
It's been really nice. I live kind of far away from my family, so it's nice to be here to make friends and just kind of have some freedom away from everything. But it's also really awesome to learn from different professors and learn from different people and to gain a bigger perspective on life than you would have got in high school.
Everybody has a different college experience, so next time you see your student, ask them about their experience. Ashley?
Thanks, Matt. It's always interesting to see what students have to say. We look forward to what we find out next week.
We have had quite the change in weather throughout the week and even the possibility for snow in some parts of Colorado later this week. Coming up after the break, meteorologist Abigail Stewart will have your full weather forecast. Stay with us.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Abigail Stewart. Looking ahead to your Friday morning forecast, we're looking at temperatures of around 47 degrees by 8 a.m., warming up to 66 degrees by noon. We're looking at sunny skies for the morning, but we do have a chance of rain tomorrow. Now, that stationary front that I talked about earlier, within the next 12 hours is going to move towards the mountains and become more of a cold front and produce some rain in the area and a lot of clouds along Colorado. Within the next 24 hours, we're going to see that front retreat and become more of a stationary front again and dry up the state again. For homecoming, we're not looking at any rain chances, but we are looking at some quite chilly weather with some overcast skies. For that 9 a.m. tailgate, we're going to see temperatures only of 40 degrees, warming up to 55 degrees by 3 p.m. And we're only looking at a high of 57 for the day, with cloudy skies expected for most of the day. Now, our remainder of our forecast is looking a bit gloomy. We've got temperatures only sitting around 50 degrees for the rest of the week, and we're looking at temperatures, low temperatures hitting around freezing for the remainder of the week as well. We've got thunderstorms in the forecast, rain in the forecast, and when it's not raining or thundering, it's going to be cloudy. So definitely bundle up this next week, and back to you.
Thanks, Abigail. Well, we've seen it before and we're seeing it again. The UNC football team suffers another tough loss. Will they be able to break their losing streak?
And it is finally Rocktober, and those Rockies did not disappoint in their wild card game against the Cubs, which also happened to be the longest win or go home game in history. Ben Shumay will have all of the highlights coming up in sports.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Hey,
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
If I had to pick a word to describe watching UNC play North Dakota on Saturday, that word would be painful. North Dakota got out to a hot start, scoring on their first drive. That's bad enough, but North Dakota put the game out of reach in the second quarter. The Hawks won the game 38-13 on the strength of their powerful running game, with two running backs rushing for a combined 267 yards. With this loss, UNC falls to 0-5 on the season and 0-2 in Big Sky play. After the loss, UNC coach Ernest Collins Jr. had some tough words for the team about the effort they gave.
For the first time this season, we didn't fight back like we normally have. I mean, this is the first time that I can say that in this game we just got physically dominated, and we didn't fight.
UNC tries to avoid going 0-6 this Saturday in the UNC homecoming game against UC Davis at Nottingham Field. Kickoff is at 12 noon. And the sport of football means something different inside the United States than it does for the rest of the world. But that gives international students something else to learn in their adjustment to life in the United States. International student ambassadors met with international students at the practice fields to show them the ropes or laces of one of America's favorite games. 4 ambassadors and 7 students started the night by stretching and getting to know each other by handing around a ball and introducing themselves. They then began tossing around the old pigskin. Players then got to try their hand at running routes, learning a few simple plays both with and without a defender covering them. The attendees even got to kick some field goals. They did the harder than it looks task easily, as many put the ball through the uprights. Then it was game time. The two teams put what they learned to task in an evenly matched game featuring UNC's newest football stars. It is easy to say that everyone wins an event like this, but with the game ending in a 20-20 tie, it's hard to find a loser. This was the first time that the ambassadors held the event, but they're already making plans for a follow-up class. After a Big Sky championship and an NCAA tournament appearance last season, the University of Northern Colorado women's basketball team looks a little different this year. But as Chris Bolin tells us, new head coach Jenny Huth and returning Big Sky Player of the Year Savannah Smith are ready to bring home similar results.
A taste of success, no matter how great, will always leave you wanting more. And after the team's first Big Sky Conference Championship and NCAA tournament appearance last year, the Bears women's basketball team will have to put on quite an encore this season. And they'll have to do it all without Big Sky Coach of the Year Cami Etheridge, who took the head coaching job at Washington State. Insert Jenny Huth, who spent the last 7 seasons as an assistant at UCLA. But as good as Huth or Etheridge is, players make plays.
I think we're a really smart team. We're really fast. We have some advanced post play. I think our post players have really come along this fall. I think those are going to be some great advantages. Obviously, with Savannah having the experience she has.
And that'll be the difference this season. Savannah Smith, the last Savannah standing and reigning Big Sky Conference Player of the Year.
Coming in and coaching a player like her is a gift. You could talk to her on the side and she knows what you're saying. She knows how to make adjustments. And like I said, you always have a chance because she's ready to hit the clutch play.
And now as a redshirt senior in her 5th year with the program, Smith is ready to be the head of this team on the floor and in the locker room.
I feel like I've stepped into more of a leadership role now that Savannah Scott and Kiana are gone this year, but we have some really good players coming up that really help me in that way.
And though the Bears will have to replace some production from graduating seniors Savannah Scott and Kiana Williams, Smith says she's not too worried about getting that done, even if they have to do it a little different. The Bears' focus this year will be more about getting to the bucket and getting easy points in the paint instead of the three-point shot. But don't worry, 2 things are still for certain. The Bears are going to play fast with an emphasis on scoring, and this will be the best seat in the house. The pieces are there. Now all the Bears can do is get down to work and make sure they take advantage of all the talent they have.
It's looking good so far. We've got a lot of things to work on, but we're really improving each day, which is really exciting to see.
Reporting from Butler Hancock, I'm Chris Bolin.
UNC opens its season with a home exhibition against South Dakota School of Mines on November 2nd.
October has a weird way of picking heroes. Major League Baseball rules allow managers to make odd roster decisions, and players you might not expect being called on with the entire season hanging in the balance. But this Rockies playoff story doesn't begin in October. First, we have to pick up where we left off in September. The Rockies won 2 of their last 3 games of the season, which pushed their record to 91-71, good enough for first place in the National League West. The Los Angeles Dodgers also managed to end the season at 91-71. Good enough for first place in the National League West. When you play 162 games to decide who's best, why not just play one more? Game 163 took place in LA on Monday and featured 2 of the best young pitchers in baseball, German Marquez and Walker Buehler. Marquez was brilliant for the Rockies. Buehler was unhittable for the Dodgers. The Rockies didn't get a single hit till the 6th inning and only scored 2 runs. So the Dodgers stifled the Rockies and won game 163 and the National League West for the 6th straight season. So the Rockies season is over, right? Not just yet. Though they lost the division, the Rockies still had the second wild card spot and played a winner-take-all game against the Cubs in Chicago on Tuesday. This was the 3rd game in 3 days in 3 different cities and in 3 different time zones for the Rockies. Cubs manager Joe Maddon sent experience to the mound in the crucial game in the form of veteran lefty John Lester. The Rockies sent youthful hometown hero Kyle Freeland from Thomas Jefferson High School to the bump. Lester was brilliant for the Cubs. Freeland was unhittable for the Rockies. After 6 2/3 shutout innings, Freeland held the Cubbies to just 4 hits, giving the Rockies an uncomfortable 1-0 lead going into the 8th. After the 8th inning, it was a 1-all tie after the Cubs' most valuable player, Javier Baez, hit an RBI double off Rockies reliever Adam Ottavino. And 1-1 with the score would remain until the 13th inning. After 2 straight 2-out singles put men at first and third for the Rockies, up came the team's backup catcher, Tony Walters. Walters' regular season batting average was 1.7, over 70 ticks below league average. Tony Walters hadn't had hits at September 10th. Tony Walters hadn't hit off a changeup all season. But October baseball has a weird way of picking its heroes because Tony Walters is now 1 for 1 in the playoffs with 1 RBI after he hit a single up the middle off a changeup to score the winning run in the most important at-bat of his life. It was as easy as 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 13th as Scott Oberg set down the Cubs in order, punching the Rockies' ticket for the National League Division Series. So October is now in full swing as the Rockies begin their best-of-5 National League Division Series tonight in Milwaukee.
Now, Ben, that game was just one to watch. I think I even turned it off at one point and ended up having to turn it back on because I just kept getting those notifications on my phone.
I don't know how many miles I paced around my house, but it was quite a few.
Now, the Rockies are playing right now. Ben, what do we know?
Well, the Rockies are currently losing 2-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning against the Brewers. Now, there's still a lot of baseball to be played, and we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, the identity for the Rockies all year long has been they have no quit in them. Doesn't matter who that hero is. No. Hopefully we'll find one here in the later innings. Remember, Bear News is your on-campus source for all things UNC.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.